So this is my 2-litre turbo four-wheel drive Vauxhall Nova. Now, it's already pretty quick, but I want to make it go even quicker. So in today's episode, we're going to get rid of the standard KKK turbo and we are going to replace it with this bad boy. Now this is a massive Maxpeedingrods GT3076 billet turbo. This is capable of around 500 horsepower. So we're going to get this fitted to this in today's video. So this new turbo is considerably bigger than before. So we may have a few issues on the way. So we're going to start by stripping the front end down so we've got loads of space to see what we're working with. So I think we found the problem to my running issue. Now, when I went to Santa Pod, it kind of lost power after 6,000 RPM. I was pretty convinced it's the ignition fault. It's had new spark plugs, new HT leads, running a lot better, but still not right. Well, I've just noticed I never plugged this bad boy in. And that controls the ignition advance and retard, which kind of computes with what the fault was. So I'm pretty certain if that was plugged in like that, it would have ran okay. Never mind, something to learn from. So I've been using Maxpeedingrods products for a few years now, and I've always been really impressed with not only the quality but the price. So when they reached out to me and asked if I want a sponsorship deal, I absolutely jumped at the chance. Now, I would never promote a brand I did not believe in. So if the quality on these parts wasn't good, I wouldn't be using them, full stop. But in my opinion, they're not only affordable, they're also really good quality. Maxpeedingrods offer a wide range of products. They do tuning parts, suspension parts, standard vehicle parts, tools, you name it, they pretty much sell it. Have a look on the website. If you're interested in anything, I've got an exclusive 10% discount code, which is in the description below on this video. The individual products you've just seen, there's links to them separately, and there's also a link to their website so you can have a browse, have a look through. So once again, a massive thank you to Maxpeedingrods. I cannot wait to get these products fitted to this car. So that's the turbo ready to come off now. All the bolts are out, and I just wanted to show you a size comparison. So, quite a lot bigger, as you can see. Substantially bigger. This is going to be fun. I'm going to fit it that way, I think. There'll be a bit more room, but yeah, that is a lot bigger. And look at that. You can probably just see there, but see the end of the gasket's actually lifted. It's amazing. You can see where it's been blowing slightly past there. Really slightly. I couldn't hear it. Actually been blowing out. It's amazing. It's been that hot. It's actually stretched it. You can see it's not a line there as well. Look at how much it's moved it. Amazing. So yeah. Right. eBay T3 manifold. I bought this second hand for an absolute bargain. It's a cast one, made in the 90s. Really well made. So first off, we're going to bolt that up. So the turbo, from looking at it, is clearly designed to be fitted that way round. That's the oil feed, that's the oil return. Obviously we can't have that, so I do need to adjust it. We need to sit this way. Now, that is my preferred fitment. However, it doesn't actually fit that way because all this at the back of the block's in the way, basically, so the breather setup. However, I do need an external wastegate, so I could extend it, something like that, and I think that's going to all fit in there nicely. Alternatively, I can fit it this way, which could be better in some ways because there's more room for intake. However, it does stick out fairly far forward. So I'm not sure, but either way, like I say, I need to put an external wastegate in. So I'm going to have a bit of a play, I think. I do want to run a charge cooler, so doing it that way would work the best. And it gives me plenty of room. Right, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn the turbo around so it actually physically works the correct way. So all feeders at the top, returns at the bottom. So we'll put it on this way for now. So most turbos can be twisted about and adjusted. This is no exception. It's a ring of 30mm bolts, and then you can turn the compressor housing to wherever you want. So what I've established is the turbo isn't going to fit exactly how I want it using this manifold straight off. However, that's not the end of the world. So what I need to do basically is space the turbo down a little bit. It's going to give me a bit more room around here because it's currently fouling the breather. It's also going to allow me to run an external wastegate. Again, this is a Maxpeedingrods product. So I need to put the turbo somewhere around here and work out exactly how I want it and then connect the two. So I bought two flanges, as you can see, these 8mm mild steel flanges. I'm going to weld a bit of box section between the two, which is going to follow the shape of this square section here. Now, it may seem a little bit banger racer to use box section for an exhaust. However, the T3 flange does have a rectangular hole in it, and as I need two T3 flanges to connect, it's obvious I need to use square box section. If I use round, it's just not going to work right. Now, because it's rectangular and I don't have any rectangular box, I make it. So my plan was to use some 50mm box, cut it just off center, so I've got two 50 by 30mm channels, weld them together so it makes a 50 by 60 box section. So that's the bits all cut out and rest back, fit together nicely. It's now time to buzz them together. It's also a really good time to subscribe to the channel. Now, if you're 5 minutes in, you're clearly liking the video, so give us a subscribe, check out my other videos. I do lots of cool stuff like this on a regular basis. Your subscriptions will really help the channel grow and help me keep doing things like this for you guys. So now it's tacked together, it is actually slightly too big to fit inside the flange. So I've just put a couple of slots in it to V it out, basically, so I can compress it together and reduce the overall width slightly. So it's now time to glue it back together properly, press it all back and make sure she fits. Now, a good way to dress a weld back is to use a flat disc. I'm using a 60 grit, it's a good all-rounder, and it makes light work taking the tops of these welds off, but doesn't leave loads of scratch marks like a grinding disc would. So the plan always was to tilt the turbo slightly forward. So I cut this box section at a bit of an angle, so the flanges are essentially tapered. Once it's cut and dressed back, I knock it in with a hammer, make sure it fits alright, and then tack it into place. So when I start a project like this, I have a general idea how I'm going to do it, but some things you do have to improvise and do it as you're going along. So this was a bit of improvisation. I wasn't exactly sure how it was going to work, but I knew I would pull it off. So I do tack it all into place, but I quickly discover it's a little bit too big still. The turbo oil drain would sit too low and it's just not going to work. So I need to trim back a little bit more, make it a little bit smaller so the turbo just sits a little bit higher. So I've just put the turbo back on, realised it was catching the lower cross member and it was a little bit low for the oil return, so I've just moved it up slightly. So all I've done is basically cut the flange off and I've taken another 8mm off to make it just that bit higher. Hopefully that's going to do now. Now, space is going to be incredibly tight on this once it's on. So I decided the best thing I could do is to weld some studs to the bottom flange, which are 10mm, and this is going to allow me to bolt the turbo to it. There's not going to be space to get a bolt in. This is the only way I can do it. I tack the lower flange to the spacer and then test fit the turbo. Now, this time I'm much happier with it. There's a lot more space. Not loads of space, but definitely more than there was. And the oil feed is high enough. I think that's looking pretty damn good already. I'm really, really pleased with the process so far. So now I'm happy with fitment. It's now time to weld everything. So as you can see, I've stripped the turbo down to the bare casting and I've bolted it all up so I can weld it without worrying about it distorting. The next job was to make an oil return flange. Now, I did buy a universal one from a well-known supplier. However, it just wasn't shallow enough. It wasn't going to work, so I figured I need to make something. So I used some stainless steel 14mm tube and a normal domestic plumbing pipe bender. Heat the tube up and then bend it. I then used the oil return gasket as a template to make the lower flange. Now I've got a lovely bit of 6mm stainless steel plate that a subscriber very kindly donated to the channel. I cut it all out, drill the holes in it and dress it back. So that's looking pretty good and should work very well. Next job is to get the die grinder out and dress the manifold spacer that I've made. Ports match really well, which I'm dead chuffed about. I put the turbo casting back on, as well as the turbine and the compressor housing, and then I bolt the flange up and do a bit of a test fit. I then cut the bent stainless steel pipe to size, mark up exactly where it needs to be, then drill a hole in the flange to match it, and use a die grinder just to get the shape perfect. Next job's to get the nemesis out, and that is my TIG welder. I've never had a lot of luck with this, but I do keep persevering every now and again. And to be fair, this time the weld's not come out bad. I did use a gas lens for the first time instead of a normal ceramic nozzle, and I think that's probably helped the job a little bit, if I'm honest. I've also done a bit of research on exactly how I should set it up. So, like they say, practice does make perfect. I am no TIG specialist, but I do believe I can glue a couple of bits of metal together, which is exactly what I'm doing here. Once fully welded, I make sure the flange is completely flat and smooth with some 60 grit sandpaper, and I finish it with some 240 grit sandpaper. Now this did take a bit of time, but the end result was a perfectly flat, very smooth, custom made oil return flange, which I was very proud of. Probably the best thing I've ever done with a TIG welder, so yeah, buzzing. Now most factory car turbochargers come with a built-in wastegate, so it's like a penny valve in the exhaust side which bypasses the exhaust pressure from the turbine housing and stops the turbo from spinning properly. Now, big turbos often don't have these, so you use what you call an external wastegate, which means you need a pipe takeoff from your manifold somewhere to divert the exhaust gases. Now, believe it or not, this is a bit of old Subaru STI exhaust manifold, which I've had since I was 16 years of age. I got it for free, and I still find that the pipework comes in very handy. Now, fortunately for me, Maxpeedingrods also supplied the wastegate with the turbo, and it even comes with the correct stainless steel flanges ready to be welded straight on, and these connect the V-bands up. So I TIG these onto the Subaru manifold, and hey presto, we're away. So there we go, that is the turbo setup mocked up and pretty much ready to go really. So I've obviously still got a few things to do. For example, I haven't got a downpipe yet, and I'm waiting for some stainless steel exhaust to turn up. It seems to have got lost, which is causing some problems. So I need to make a downpipe, which I can do in a later video. Obviously put the lambda probes in. I need to connect the wastegate up to the downpipe as well. And things like the oil lines need connected. Now I've bought this. This is like a universal oil line, and I've got an adapter that goes in the back of the block, which goes into the standard fitting. It runs around. I've used a P-clip to clamp it to the sump, and then this needs connecting up here. That's an AM fitting. It's a nice built aluminium thing with a built-in restrictor. I've got a 90 as well, just to hold it off in the right place. Right, so what I want to do now is I want to put everything on properly, put all the gaskets in, and then start it up. Now I can't do the coolant lines, however they are quite easy. Just can't do it because I'm waiting for a radiator to come. Now I've got a special radiator coming, which is kind of half the size but much taller, so half the width, a lot more height. So that's going to go there and give me plenty of room this side for my air conditioning and all the other bits I want to do. So let's put the turbo on properly and then we can start it up. Now obviously I can't run this properly because it's not matte. I need to change the management, I need to change the injectors and all that stuff, but I can give it a quick start up, quick rev, just so we can hear what it sounds like, get the turbo spinning, obviously get this filled with oil, make sure it's all working properly. Right, let's do it. So the first thing I need to do is fit the oil supply, flange and gasket, then rotate the turbo, lock it all off and make sure I'm really happy with the overall fit. I then take the turbo back off and fit 2 new gaskets between the turbo, the spacer and the manifold. And I use some 14mm lock nuts. Can't remember what car these were from, but as a small it worked really well. I fit the oil return hose. Now this is a silicone hose, but it's lined so it's oil proof because a lot of silicone pipe isn't oil resistant. And take the manifold off the head, insert a new gasket, and I put some new stainless steel manifold studs in. I put a selection of new nuts in, plus some old ones because I didn't have quite enough. I will rectify this at a later date, and that is pretty much it. Right, so as you can see, it's very crude, but I've connected the boost side up. So this is from the compressor wheel all the way to the inlet. Obviously, I'm going to fit a charge cooler at a later date, and I'm going to completely rework the cooling system. But for now, this is just going to start it up so we can hear it and make sure everything works. Now, another thing I've done is I've just bled the oil system. So I've cranked it with HT lead off to make sure oil's coming out of this oil feed, which is lovely. So we're now ready for a first start. So there we go, she runs and she sounds good. So in a future episode, we're going to be making a full exhaust for this car. We're going to be rebuilding the engine. We're going to fully forge it. We're going to be putting massive injectors in, completely different management. And it's going to be, I'd say around 400 to 450 horse when I'm done. That's the plan, that's the aim. But for now, I think we need to wrap the video up. Now, this is the end of this little series for now. I'm going to be moving on to another project coming very, very soon, which is quite exciting, something I've never done before. Again, we're sticking with a Nova platform, but this is just a little bit different. So we're going to be doing a Z-let conversion, which is essentially a Mark IV Astra GSI engine swap in a Vauxhall Nova using lots of Astra BXR parts as well. We're fully rebuilding the engine, we're going to fully forge it, and it's going to be nuts. So proper buzzing to do that. So this is just the end of this for now. So once again, a massive thank you and a shout out to Maxpeedingrods who supplied the turbo, supplied the wastegate. They sell loads of different products. If you're interested in any kind of car parts, have a look on the website. I've got a unique discount code in the description below. Use it, check them out. They're really up and coming in the UK, and I highly recommend their products. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and see you soon. Bye bye.